Hello and welcome to Rich's Home Mechanics, and warm welcome if it's the first time you visited my channel. Right, today's little project, we've got a little scooter, a Piaggio Liberty 125 that I've managed to pick up quite cheaply through auction. The issue is it's obviously not been loved very well. It's been down the road by the looks of it on its side, and it's been put in for an MOT and it's failed the MOT on the headstock bearings. So what we're going to do, we're going to have a quick look. We're going to start taking the plastics off, and we're going to crack on and see if we can get this head bearing done. Because of the amount of work on it, I'm probably going to do this over 2 or 3 videos. So let's go and have a look. Let's have a look at the scooter first and see what we've got to attempt to do first, shall we? Okay, let's have a little run around the scooter. Now this scooter looks to me like it's had a hard life. It's got damage down the side, it's got damage on the other side near and offside. There's bits missing. The front bumper is smashed to bits. It's definitely been down the road. I got it cheap for a reason, and that's the reason. The previous owner put it in for an MOT. Apart from the cosmetically, it was fine. That's not a problem. I've also noticed something else. You've got the little nipple missing off the brake there. That's going to have to be replaced. But the main issue is it failed on the headstock brace bearings, or head race bearings in the here. Now, the scenario are, if you ride a motorcycle, you'll know where I'm coming from, or even a push bike. When a headstock bearing or head race starts to go, they get very grouchy, very gritty, and it's the equivalent of, it feels like if you've got a ring and you've got loads of balls around it, which is what this will probably be, they rub and grind and it feels like grit. This is probably a ball race bearing in here. I'm probably going to replace it and update it for a tapered bearing if we can get hold of one. But the first scenario is we've got to get all this plastic off without breaking it. Now that's no easy feat. I've never worked on one of these before. I've never done a head brace. I've done head brace on normal motorcycles that I've owned in the past and that have come through my hands. But I've never done a scooter, so I can't see it being a lot different really. And once you've done one of these scooters, they're going to be very similar. So that'll be interesting. We can go through this together. I said I've never done one of these before, haven't got a Scooby, so we're going to have to just break it down in sections and work it out. Until we get that head brace done and a few bits on here, there's not going to be a lot of point MOTing it, so we've got to go through it. So I think the first stage is to try and get these plastics off, and then we'll try and gain access to the actual headstock itself. Okay, when I'm doing videos, obviously if I videoed every bit of this, there'd be hours and hours of video, and you just have to pick out the bits that which will help people out. Now, we're going to start taking the plastics off. So to get the plastics off, I also have to gain access inside this little cupboard. There's like a little cubby hole. Now I've taken 10 minutes. I can't get it open. I just don't know how to open it. I need to get inside there to get to screws to release the front panel. I just couldn't suss it. I put a pry bar in, and as you know, as I mentioned before, you have to, when you're taking plastics off a motorcycle, a scooter, or anything that's got plastic fairings, there's little tabs, there's little tucked away screws. You just have to take your time. And what I do, I just get my little pry lever, and I was just prying in there, and it didn't feel right round here. It was too tight. I just couldn't suss it out until I went to take the key out, and I went, oh, the ignition's loose, and hey presto, you press the ignition where the ignition key goes in there, you press it, and hey presto, the tray opens. There you go. You learn something every day when you're doing home mechanics. Okay, so we're cracking on taking these plastics off. Now, these plastics are very delicate. There's little plastic tabs that can break, and I don't really want to break them because these are not cheap. And I say, if anyone runs scooters or motorcycles to replace plastic panels, you can plastic weld them, which I have done in my previous videos, but it's very, you know, it takes time and it can be expensive to replace these. Now, the first scenario we've got is we've got a screw that's not going to come out. Now, I can't just lever it with a pry bar because it's going to snap the tab. So what we've got to do, we've got to drill it out. And what you do, if you've got a screw like that sitting inside the plastic countersunk, you start with a smaller drill and you up the size of the drill. And the idea, eventually, you get the drill size is the same size as the screw head. And what you do, you just gingerly, gently, with no force, keep drilling up in your drill size, and eventually the top of the screw head will fall off. And you literally just pull it out, or the fairing can come out, and then you can get a pair of mole grips off and crack on. So let's have a quick drill and see if we can get this drilled out, shall we? Okay, we've screwed the head off of the screw. Now that should release this casing, which it does. That gives us a bit more room to work with. Now how much easier is that? Let's have a look. And there's the screw. Just undo that screw and we'll replace it. So we've saved the thread at the back there, so it's good to repair. When we put it back together, it's all good to go. That's what we want to do. That's what we're aiming at doing. Okay, just taking our time and drilling that screw head off. It's done the trick and it's released the panel. So it's a little tip there. If you ever get a stuck screw, you can't get it out, the screwdriver's spinning or the nut's spinning, get a drill, electric drill, battery drill. The high size of the head of the screw is like that. Up the size of the drill slowly. You want the drill size, the last drill, to be slightly smaller than the head. Drill it in and eventually the top of the head of the screw will fall off and you can just pull the fairing off or whatever you're trying to do. And as you can see, we've saved the thread. We'll just get a pair of mole grips, pull out the stud bit of the screw, job's a good one. Right, hopefully they should have given us space now to release some of this front panel. Now I'm going to be very gingerly because there still could be some screws hidden up there and it doesn't take much to snap them, and if it snaps them, it's a whole new ball game. Right, that's the back panel. Right, this is the one that I'm concerned about. That still seems to be tight somewhere. Now, I'm going to show you this. Just underneath there, see, like I say, that's loose. You can see that's loose. Now I could have just yanked that off. Always look, always check. Now, I could feel that was tight. It weren't feeling right. I've lifted up what the floorboard, whatever you call it, the deck there, and there's a screw each side. So we need to undo them. We're still not completed. We've got 2 more screws, and hopefully we'll actually get this front fairing off, or panel. Okay, the scenario is we've gained access to the 2 screws, one each side, which are seem to be the last 2 screws holding the front panel on. Unfortunately, they've corroded and there's no way I'm going to get a drill in there at the moment. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get this out, and it's called a reciprocating saw, and it's just a hacksaw blade in a reciprocating air saw. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut gingerly and gently between the frame of the scooter and the top bracket of the plastic, and what it'll do, it will slice the top of the head off the screw. We'll take it out, and at a later date, when we go to reassemble, if I can't get the rest of the stud out of that frame there with a pair of mole grips, I'll drill it out and retap it and put a new bolt in. So let's crack on. Let's try and get the bolt out, shall we? You have to be very, very careful. Okay, I think that one's done. Okay, so as you can see, we've cut the head off this screw with the reciprocating saw, and it's stuck in there. Let's get it out. Here we go. And you'll see there's the screw head. We've sliced it straight off, and what we'll do later when we go to reassemble, if I can't get a pair of mole grips in there and get the rest of the stud or the thread off this bolt screw head, I'll just drill out the old stud and we'll retap it and put a new fresh bolt in. So what we do, I'm going to crack on and get the other side off. It's probably going to be the same scenario. I'm going to have to drill the bolt head off, so or cut the head off with the reciprocating saw, and then we'll come back and actually see if we can get this actual spoiler off, or this front panel of this scooter. Okay, after further investigation, I've discovered that the front panel fairing on this scooter is one piece, and there's no way that's going to come off. So the only way that'll come off is we've removed the front bumper fender mudguard, and the only way the mudguard's going to come off if I remove both of these fork legs. And to remove the fork legs, I need to disconnect the brake caliper and take the wheel out. So what I'm going to do, when I've released the front nut for the yoke for the replacement head bearing, we'll drop the whole lot down. So we're going to leave that at that stage for the moment and concern ourselves later when we've undone the nuts. The next stage I want to do is I want to release them handlebars. I need to release them handlebars to give us some room so we can gain access to the actual stock. Right, this is going to need quite a thing. Right, I use duck oil I find it better than WD, but that's personal reference. Give it a quick squirt. Now we're going to need quite a big torque on here. Good ratchet and a spanner. You need a good fittings fit. Let's have a go. That undone nicely. Put that there. Okay, job done. Nice one. Right, what we're going to do now, I'm going to lift them handlebars up. Now, if you find them a bit tight like that, now they're tight. What's happened is over the years, where the handlebar clamp has been clamped up with the bolt, it's nipped itself around the top of the yoke. So what we're going to do, just gently get a cold chisel and a club or a hammer, and in the slot there, to give it a couple of taps. Don't need a lot, don't need to whack the hell out of it. Now that should release it. Now hopefully that will release. Let's have a go now. I'm holding the front wheel with my knees so the handlebars don't move, and I'm going to wiggle these handlebars off. There we go, leave them down there. And what I'm going to do in a little while, I'm going to put a cable tie on there to support it. I think we're going to leave the video at that stage. We can now gain access to the headstock so we can crack on. So when we come back to video part 2, we're going to call this part 2 of the yoke head bearing replacement. We'll call it a day on there. Thank you very much for watching. This is Richard Lake at Richard's Home Mechanics signing out. Thank you for coming onto my channel, and we'll see you on part 2. Take care, all the best, bye.